problems, especially on video, is I don't get the time to, like, I don't know, really view what's happening in the game. This is a game that I feel like it should be providing an interesting and good narrative. And really, I'm just so focused on scoring points and everything that I'm not really getting that. And also, if I do start thinking about it, it feels irrational to me, ahistorical. I don't know. Anyway, our worst scorer is down here. So he gets to look at his first card. And he's got the Sassies. They're very late. My position on the board kind of sucks. Han Dynasty is going to wipe me out, though, if I don't take this. Sassanids are a good choice to give to the blue player. It's the last thing. It's not all that powerful. Sounds pretty good to me. That's white. Yellow gets the next card. Should put a die here to mark who I'm on. This is the Marians. They're going to be in India. They go relatively late. Yellow's got a presence in India. I would like Macedonia more. I'm not doing all that well. I don't think I want to keep the Marians. Let me just look at this, but I don't see how it's going to impact me. I would love to give this to blue, but blue just got one. And so, purple is next. They don't have a huge board presence, and this would give them an extension somewhere where they exist, or where they don't exist. I don't know. Some newish socks. See, this is my own. I would. Oh, I gotta look at the new points. We have not. Gotten all of these because, importantly, a bunch of these, that's a 4 there, it's kind of badly printed. Okay, so at this point, this is actually a really good location. Is it what I want? I don't know. I can probably keep some score there. What are my other options? I mean, I would love, like, the Romans, obviously. They're the big boy in this one with 20 pieces. Macedonia is going to get beat up pretty early. I don't know which way to go with this. I think odd, I'm going to keep it. Oh, the one thing that I would be interested in here is if I had a minor empire or kingdom or something, that might heavily influence me. I'm not going to keep it, and that's kind of where I was leaning, but I didn't know what I wanted to give it to. This greenish guy doesn't have a lot of ground anywhere. Pinkish purple doesn't have a whole hell of a lot anywhere. I'll give it to him. I don't know. And that's going to move it to green. The Celts. Now, if green had a really powerful presence on the board, this would be valuable. Blue, for example, would love to get them. But as it stands, it's pretty shitty for almost anyone. I would like to give it to blue or to purple, or this pinkish purple. Both of them have their cards already. I'm kind of like, well, no, I would not like to give it to blue. I would like to give it to the pinkish purple. I guess this grayish green is the next best option for it. So we'll hand it off to them. Nobody's getting their own card. Red. Red gets the Romans. Yeah. I don't really have to think about that. That puts it on grayish green. They have a card. There are 3 people left. It's the Shitty Sing-Nu, who are going to start in Mongolia. This is a really crappy power, about as bad as it gets. So, who can I give it to? I can give it to green, I could give it to white, or I could give it to yellow. Well, green is the best choice in terms of they're doing the best out of everybody, but that is the shittiest power. This is such a weird range because you have a huge thing like the Romans, and then you have a couple of really kind of crappy things. Who's getting this choice? Purple is getting this choice. Macedonia. Macedonia is pretty nice. My choices are here, or yellow. We'll give it over here. And that means the Han Dynasty is going to be in Yellow's hands. That is probably what they wanted the most. The only problem, well, Macedonia would have been nice. But Han Dynasty is fine for us. And I have not looked at cards for anyone, basically, because nobody got to choose their own card for the most part. So we have to find where I put the Celts. Migrants Australia that I'm going to play. The reason I'm playing this is while I have 8 cards and I could play 2 per period coming forward, and this doesn't have any value, I want to make sure that I get these out. And I might as well play it now. Maybe I'll have empires I want to do. I'll put them in New Guinea and New Zealand because Australia is more valuable. And I don't want to be there. It also has a desert in case that's an issue. But this is mainly a matter of these guys are just going to show up. They're not going to generate any points for me for quite a while. But they may survive. And the Celts do not have a capital. I didn't have anything I wanted to play on them. They start in Central Europe. Europe is now generating points. I gotta look at the rest of the world. There isn't much I can expand into. I can get into the South Europe. There's a doinker down here, a doinker here. I have 1 doinker. I have 7 more pieces. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yeah, that's not terribly useful. South Europe is nice, but I'd have to fight a hard battle to get in there. Let's grab my dominance. That'll let me build Stonehenge or whatever. And from there, the Romans are coming in. So let's go into Dalmatia. We could actually establish some power over there, conceivably. You know, you're not going to see the Celts doing what they normally, like what they historically did, which is covering the whole area. There's no advantage to that in this game. And I am going to hit this. Now, that gives them an extra die on defense. Mainly I want to trim blue down. We don't succeed. I lose a piece. Now, I don't remember who gave who cards. That's one problem. There's knowledge that I lose by playing solo. I could still move into two of these. I'm going to take another crack at this. We once again fail. So now I'm going to shift down into here, and we get to score our points. 3. I have an extra guy down here, so I actually get this, brings me up to 9. Oh, I get to build a monument. Let's build Stonehenge. 9, 10, 11, 12. No cities. I get a grand total of 13 points, which doesn't even put me above the leader. Now here's Macedonia. I don't have an empire that I want to play. I do have migrants in North America, which I could slap down. Those could be useful. Again, the points don't come for a while, but I would want to play them. Actually, they come sooner than the Australians did. I have some other interesting options. I have engineering. There aren't a hell of a lot of forts for me to take here. Oh no, this would give me 2 forts. That might help me survive the Romans when they come out. By the way, one of the things that you do kind of miss gameplay-wise, and this is the problem. I want historical, but the game's never going to provide that. Gameplay-wise, leaving one empire out of each period is actually kind of cool, because I know the Romans are coming. I would probably think they're coming. You also hit this, hey, once you hit a blank, the empire that didn't come up, or empires that didn't come up if you're playing with, like, 4 players or something, you know that the rest of them come up. So, you've got these interesting little choices. Engineering would give me forts. That might be interesting. Allies, I'm going to have to fight to get places, but whatever. Expert troops, mountains. There are mountains near me, but it doesn't look like I'd have to face them. So I'm not going to do that. Migrants, that's interesting. If I don't play cards, I probably want to slap them down. Naval power. Okay, this is potent. It allows me to do a naval invasion at only 2 dice for the defender instead of 3. So that one I actually really like. Elite troops. I win ties until I lose an army in combat. This is a pretty decent card. Here's my minor empire. And then I have a leader. I have a reallocation. I have a lot of fleets. But I feel like I need them. All except maybe the Red Sea one, which I really kind of question why Macedonia has that. Honestly, they weren't in the Black Sea with a fleet. They weren't in the Red Sea with a fleet. They built a fleet in the Mediterranean. Well, they acquired one. They got most of the coastal towns during their invasion. One of the big things that I'd want to do is take blue down. And I'm planning, you know, I start here, I get to hit a couple of these, that's sweet. That seems like a good idea. But mainly I want my own points. You know, I'll probably move into the Danube here to get a point off that. Do I want to face this with Rome coming right after? I don't know. You know, Rome is going to wipe me out too, so I don't really know. But an invasion in Africa seems reasonable, charging across here. All of that seems of some value. I also have the mountain troops. I'd have to use my mountain here for that. And I just don't know. One thing I did, the reallocation, again, it's a shit card. And given that the reallocation was a bad card in the earlier Avalon Hill edition, but it wasn't paired up with anything all that great, I think. I'm not positive of that. I think, but here, for some reason, it's given a greater event, as if it's, you know, on par with these, with a leader or with this. The elite troops is definitely better. Everything is better. It is one of the worst cards, and it's piled in with the best cards in the game. And I just don't get it. You know, getting 3 coins and not being able to do naval actions sounds like shit to me. Naval power and engineering. We show up in Pindus here. With a capital, with a unit. I've got 2 extra forts. It's like 2 coins, only, you know, a little bit more restrictive. I gotta swap batteries. Lost a unit taking these. Now I can kind of go evens against this if I want to, but that actually doesn't help me. It's this I have to attack to get the dominance that's not very dominant. My big naval advantage once to attack into here. We got reasonably lucky. We got a tie, great. I'm not going to use it again. Now I advance out of there. You know, it seems like such a big deal. It is actually a huge deal for some of the later powers, things like Britain or whatever, that want to spread all over the place. It's kind of a waste to play it here. But I have a hard time not playing a card when it feels useful, especially since I only have, you know, I have to play a couple of cards a turn coming up as we start getting later in the game. Not going well. I have my entry into here. I tried to bust, I've spent a lot of pieces getting into this space, and I just got beaten here. Exchange those 2 for extra coins. I've only got like 2 more attacks left. If I take this, I actually boost up. So that's a useful place for me to go. And we'll do that once more. Okay, we won that. Well, that's all we get. I did not get 2 boinkers, so I don't get a monument. I do get 2 forts. There's nothing. I put one here. I don't know where the other one's going to go. Here in Moria, that's fairly reasonable to keep. And now we score. We have actual dominance. Oh, fuck, I didn't go into here. Oops. Actual dominance there at 6. And then actual dominance here. This guy's over here. 6 and 6 is 12. This is worth nothing. And another 6 here brings me to 18. 19, 20, 21. These are hard to spot. 21, 22, 23, 24. And we're up there. Still not beating blue, who's a turn behind us on the thing. Yeah. This is just feeling like so much work for very little pleasure. Who comes next? The Marians. Did they keep them? They did not. They did. I'm going to pause there because I'm just not enjoying this very much. Okay, so my purple color is going to be the Marians. But before I do them, I did the Kush, which shows up down here. Nice little bonus. That's going to be someplace I'm not going to be able to get back to easily on this period. I'm actually in most of the continents of any value, to some degree or not. I'm in a good place point-wise. I'm also going to drop a disaster down. This is a good time period to do that if I can find one that I want. I will kill this monument, which I'm not likely to get. And that's some blue points back there. And it's got to have a monument. I guess I'll go for this because I want to capture these, I think. Okay. The Marians only give me, I'll put the Kush back here to, the Marians only give me 9 troops. They start here, and normally one of the first things I do with them is I grab a presence in this little point here and also into China if I need it, which I do. I'm not really all that worried about the white die. Yeah, he's way up there, but he's gone already. He's not my competition. Blue is. I want to take out blue stuff back here. I'm not so worried about yellow. So we're going to fight in that direction. I've slowed down. I've started not showing as much of the game as I play because I want to make the videos a little shorter. Successfully grabbed this and a doinker, actually. I am going to do the expansion up this way. And we're going to go at least into here. Now I've got the second level, which is really dominance, here, here. I don't have it yet here, and I could get a doinker there, which would let me build a monument. That's nice. As a different option, I could try to cut into here. I look at what's left, and we've got the Sassanids showing up, and possibly the Romans, either of which have a chance of beating up the blues that are here. So I'm going to feather my own nest at this point. Grab this. That gets me my monument. And then I think I'm just going to fortify my capital and hope for the best. I could grab another point down here. I'm not going to get better than the 2 points in either of these. Yes, I could have attacked there and there. You know, Yeah, I don't think it's worth attacking. I think I build myself a fortress to go with that monument. And now my score is 3 down here, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 14, 15, 16, 22 points, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31 over here. That puts me up to 64, which creates quite a job for blue in terms of points they have to gain. They have to get a good run. You see, I've gotten a minor empire and a kingdom. Normally you'd have one of each of those in the original, well, in the original Avalon Hill version. I don't know what the English version is. I guess it's Ragnarok Brothers or something like that. The name is familiar. Or Ragnar Brothers? I don't remember. And now we've got to look for the Han. The stuff from the Han, and they're going to give me access to China and possibly some other things. Maybe I can even influence my way down into India properly. And again, I don't need all these places that are empty. I just want to wipe out people. Like, you don't... So kind of the opposite of Britannia. This game, you end up not filling up empty space. It's also kind of painful. I'm going to show you the Civil War here that I'm going to play. I haven't decided if I've got another counter. So the most valuable place I could play is up here, but there's no kingdom, there's no empire that has 3 spaces there. This is less valuable. Since blue's in the lead, I'm going to go after them here. And I will hunt these guys down and send one into each of these spaces. Now let me just make sure I don't want to play something else for the Han. Thinking about this famine, I could play this in Southern Europe where I don't have any pieces. That might be nice to wipe some things out, but that just ends up helping the Romans, I think. So fuck that. I think I have... eight cards. That gives me 2 per era. So I'm not in an absolute bind where I have to play. Although from now on it's 2 cards per period that I have to play. We do those fights. And what we needed out of China, I need to cut down. Now, I have not grabbed either of these spaces for various reasons. Mainly because I needed to wipe out the enemy. But that means I'm not getting my seacoast, and I might want the seacoast to be able to attack better out of here. In which case, I gotta spend a guy on a boinker doinker there. Then I go down to the Mekong, and I can go into Malaysia here. I could get 1 extra point by going here. I could fortify, or I could go for the high risk, but potentially high reward attack into here, which is what I'm going to do. Now, this is very low odds for me, because I'm going into the woods, which means the defender gets an extra die, and I'm going into a fort, which means he's a +1, but there are a lot of points there. So a lucky die roll would have gotten me in. It doesn't. Came close. I got double 6s. That should count. It's not risk. Okay, and now we count our points. We had nothing up here. Here we actually got 4 points for the higher level. 7. Didn't get to that higher level here. 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 21, 22, 23. I did get a monument, so make that 24. 24. And that's it. Not a bad point total, but that puts me up to here, which is nowhere near our new lead. And blue is going to probably do relatively well. We're not sure. We haven't seen what they have. They're like the Scythians or something, the Sassanids, something horrible. And that puts us on the really, the shittiest of all, the Xingnu. There we go. Mayans. Now, I think I could build a fort with them, which might be worth it. But my real problem is, once somebody wants to get that, they simply will. So I went into here. That gives me the possibility of, on the 5th period, getting a point from each of these continents when this switches over, and then maybe even later, and then this is a 2-point per turn. The real question is, did I want to fortify before that? I didn't want to. I kind of peeked for the rules, but I'm not sure that they exist on whether or not minor empires can build forts. So I did the expansion instead. I got to see if there's another card, because he's like at card limit if he can find something. But the problem is this: he has disasters and stuff, but most of the monuments are gone. The Xingnu are going to start in the Manchurian plain? No, up in Mongolia, which is a horrible starting location. But one of the few things that I can get is that, so I don't want to destroy that monument. Follow that up with a pestilence, and I'm going to hit this space. It can spring to all adjacent spaces. So first, if a 1 is rolled on any of these dice, the army dies. It does not. And then, unlike the plague, it didn't have to take. All adjacent have to roll 2 dice. So Zagros, the Salt Desert, the Kush, and the Turanian Plains. Okay, so this card had absolutely no effect. Lots of dice rolled. Great. That's what some of it is. And we're going to start here, and I don't know. I can march over the Great Wall. There is a little bit that is connected there, so we'll try that. They're going to get 2 dice as well because of that. Lucky on a single die roll. How amazing. So now there's some possibility that we could actually take 3 of these areas. I might as well go for it. To look at it, and we kind of learned this with the Macedonians, is where's the next empire arising? It's here, so it's okay for anywhere I go, really. Unable to get much more. I do the ultimate defense. I put an extra army in and build a fort there. That's going to make this very hard to take. There just really isn't much else I could do. Yes, I could expand into Korea, but it would have taken both my pieces. It wouldn't get me an additional monument, so no extra points. So now green gets nothing over here. We'll talk about this. We'll count the city later. Over here I get 3 and nothing. I've been wiped out for the most part. So I'm 6 points, 7, 8, 10 points, which puts me way back, and I am probably in last place. The Romans are next. I'm going to move the dice over there. I'm not going to do them yet, so I need to charge batteries, but I also kind of want to read the rules to the next thing so that I'm close to finishing them by the time I get done with this. This is not a long game. It's just unpleasant. The big bad Romans who show up in the South Apennines. Here, getting a doinker. Getting rid of this thing. They have 20 troops, which is, I think, as big as it gets. Maybe the Mongols have more. I'm not sure. They may have 25. That means that I had to dig out every single red piece out of here, I think. I'm having a hard time because I keep seeing the purples. They look kind of red. I had a hard call on what to use for them. Now, by the way, red seems to be the appropriate color for the Romans. I don't know why, but every time I play, it feels like the Romans end up in the red countermix. And that feels right to me somehow, you know. They had red on their uniform, well, on some of the uniforms. I mean, you could make an argument for other colors, but it just always seems to show up as red to me. We do have some boats. I had an ability I could exchange, but I don't really need a coin here, although I'm certain to lose some pieces, I guess. I have to make a decision here. I have a number of different military choices. I have elite troops, which are a lesser choice. The two good choices I'm holding are leader, which allows me to roll 3 dice unless I roll triples. This is very powerful for such a big faction. The other option is jihad, which is 3 dice and wins ties until it loses an army, at which point it uses 2 dice and wins ties if it loses another army. I think I'm actually going to go with the leader. I was going to go with the jihad because it's more powerful, perhaps. What I really wish I had was a naval capability, because quite simply, if I take this, I end up destroying my city and hurting myself. This is actually not a great country for me in some ways. I can slip into southern Iberia, though, and then work from there to take southern Europe. But then I still have to work through some of these other things. I'd really like the winning ties, but maybe I don't need it. Maybe I don't need it. So we'll start off going into there, end up crossing the straits and all kind of other stuff, see what we get. Right now we're most worried about purple. This is not a pretty attack. That would be 3 dice against 3 dice at even, which isn't horrible, but if I want to knock purple out of there, that seems like not a bad idea. But we shall see. A good 4 pieces trying to make it into the shitty plateau. More making it to the Nile Delta. Now, here come ugly things like, is it worth jumping down to here? I don't have the Red Sea, do I? No, just the East and West Med. And here's the thing. I think you can make an argument that the Romans had a fleet on the Red Sea a lot easier than Alexander having one. Maybe the excuse for the Alexandrian fleet is that he actually took ships from India, but I don't think those were like his ships. I think arranged a situation to pay for transit or something, but you could argue for that. But of course, that was in the Indian Ocean, not the Red Sea particularly. We've achieved the second level dominance, technically, over here. I only have 4 pieces left. I've got 3 doinkers, so I could gain another point through a doinker. I could try something like, you know, a naval invasion somewhere. Those are kind of iffy, and wiping out blue seems more valuable than purple, but getting rid of this might be worth it. Although this starts to go down in value, it's not anywhere near there yet. I think I may want to take my shot at trying to knock blue out of the Middle East. With a Rome that doesn't look very much like Rome at all. And this is often the case. I've taken nothing in Italy because the Etruscans were mine. We shifted over, taken a little bit of Spain, taken North Africa. We won from the Carthaginians, but we didn't go deep into, Gallic territory or anything like that. Certainly not to Britain. Not interested in that. That's this guy. He's not doing all that well. So instead we go and take North Africa and sure, the East, but we don't take Asia Minor or anything. And then just march over and take Persia. It's a smaller Roman Empire than you'd expect, but honestly an easier to capture one, and one that the game facilitates better. I get 2, 1, 2 of these here. I'm sitting on a city, but it has a monument. I've got another monument to place. I'll put that one in the south here. So we get $6 or 6 points for what we have here. No, we fucked up, man. Oh shit! We had to take one more of whatever these Macedonians or whatever were. We just screwed up completely because I can't really see them. They don't look like figures. Okay, so we get 3 points for that. We only get 4 for this, so 7. Let's take the boats off. They just confused me. 7. We do have this. So this is worth 6. That gives us 13. This is worthless. And we didn't make it into India or anything, which we would often want to do to get a presence or whatever. So we get 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. That looks like it. Putting us here, kind of in the middle of the pack. And I think blue is the only power left, who have the Sassanids with 9. A game of this sort that is so abstract and so gamey, I prefer the kind of mechanism in the more Euro game, Vinci, or is it Vinci, to this. Or if you want a lot more clutter in the game, Small World, which I still have to get. I played it with my wife back I think while we were here actually, but yeah, that kind of mechanism. First of all, there's all the die rolling and everything. Yeah, that's exciting and fun. But in terms of like providing a historical type situation, I just feel like that does as good a job. And the fact that it doesn't actually tell you what the nations are, it just gives you a pairing of 2 capabilities that each nation has. And you get to kind of start where you want and do what you want with it. I find that actually so much more appealing. It feels kind of like the Waves of Invaders. Of course, that Waves of Invaders is perhaps a pre-industrial type of thing. This covers, going into the 20th century even. I gotta look at the cards for the Sassanids. But yeah, it was just something that came to my mind is I would rather play that for this kind of abstraction that doesn't really link correctly. I mean, some of it is, look, like my buddy who didn't like it saying history of the world, I don't like it having these nations that don't do what they're supposed to do at all because they're being governed by the specifics of the victory conditions of the game. Has been knocked down to only these 2. All they have is India. I'm going to play a civil war to try to reestablish myself in China. I'm hoping I mean, if I get absolutely lucky, I get a double value there. Stupid. Let's see. Because I can go into here. So this double value would give me 3 extra points if I succeed in all 3. If I succeed down in Mekong, say, or whatever, Mekong may be a bad idea. That's where the chimeras start. If I succeed here, I probably get a point for a couple of turns, to be honest. Which is good, interesting. There isn't anywhere else I can go. Oh no, I can't go there. Let's go for the 3 points, I guess. Probably a mistake. I only got 1 of these, or only got 2 of these. If I had only gotten 1, it was definitely the right idea. If I got 1 or all 3, I win. If I got 2, which is what I got, and the timing of them was such that I would have gotten this probably, I would get more points, but that's okay. But now I show up in Zagros with this new Sassanids. I don't think they're worth playing a military card for, although it would be nice to get myself over purple so that I get the bonus thing. If somebody starts collecting a lot of those, they become kind of hard to defeat because they have a lot of points in the bank that nobody really sees. They're not on the chart, you know. Something Red should have considered. They made an error in doing this. They went out of their way to bust up Blue's pieces out there. They knew Blue was getting the Sassanids and could have known they're going to be at least present there and not really able to do a hell of a lot out of there. Tough call of which direction to go. I was thinking about heading up into here against this fort with the idea of making my way back into Europe where there are good points. But you know, the points are almost as good in North Africa. I can take out the last remaining purple piece here. I'm kind of lucky, so I took a shot at it. I failed with 1 shot. I'm going to continue with the plan I had, I guess. Got dominance in North Africa. 1 piece short. If I hadn't wasted 1 here, probably would have gotten it. Didn't wipe this out. Hey, he's not doing very well. Screw it. You know, let him live. Don't care. Same thing with, you know, some other things like this piece. Do I really care? He's going to be behind me. I do get a pair of doinkers. And now I get to add my points. And that's 2, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18. Which is a pretty good amount, but it's not good enough. So purple gets a disc. And we enter into the next era. With purple now in the lead. Not a great strong position. They've been being hit, but they do have a little piece hiding here, a piece hiding here, and then they're Indian and Southeast Asian stuff. Player is green, and they draw the Guptas. This is not the game for which a Gupta game was initially named. That would be, what the hell is it? The Indian Britannia, Maharaja. The Guptas go early. They're in India. They're kind of an intriguing idea. Are there other intriguing ideas? Yeah, the Byzantines could make up for the mistake I made here. Red's not in a great position. Oh, we gotta check these. This is period 4, so Britain, well, North Europe becomes worth something. This is still there. This one boosts in value. It's interesting. India and China are the best sort of stable victory points. Northern Europe becomes worth a lot. North America becomes worth a decent amount. But yeah. Establishing myself in India doesn't sound terrible. Let me look at my cards. Let me think. An event that works well with the Guptas, not great, but I'm going to take it. Yes, there are better things. The Arabs, maybe the Huns. The Arabs are very good, actually. But this allows me to score my points. Problem is I don't get this. I don't know. Who's not in great shape? Is anybody not in good shape that I can give the Guptas to? Purple actually wouldn't gain much from the Guptas having all this here. Let's give it to them. Screw them. There are better things available. This is a hard period to pick for because everything is kind of good depending on your positioning. And Red could probably do good things with almost anything else. They're probably not going to get stuck with the Khmer because they're not in the lead. They're probably not going to get stuck with the Goths, who are also kind of iffy because they go early. Although, stuck with is, not really the truth if they go early. If I hadn't fucked up in Southern Europe, I would have taken the Guptas. But as it stands, they're a little less valuable than I want them to be. The Celts and the Macedonians, Celts are a little, or the guys who had the Celts and the Macedonians, the Celts are a little less valuable, so they get the Goths. I don't have that strong a position, so the Goths now become kind of an iffy thing. They're going to start in the Danube. The Byzantines are going to come in later and wipe them out. Is there somebody without a lot of board presence that I could give this to? Yeah, purple. Yellow. I don't really want this. The Macedonians are not a terrible choice, but they're way down here. I don't really want to give it to Red. Red's going to score good points off of it. Sure, we'll give it to them. That means the Macedonians get the next pick, and they get the Huns. Now, the Huns go right after the Goths. They start in the Western Steppe, over here. I don't know that I have what I have. Not sure what somebody would give me. I'm not a target for the worst thing like the Khmer. That would be either blue or purple. So, who do I want to give the Huns to? They don't have a capital. I don't want to give them to anybody who's in too good an early position, so I don't want to give them to blue. He's got too many points, I think. We're hoping somebody gives them something shittier. Yellow. It's not a terrible choice. They don't have a shit ton of points. Well, they actually have a nice position. Let's look at the next one. Red. Maybe. The guys who just gave us a card. This really doesn't really help them much. Let's give them the Huns. They gave me something. We'll give them something in return. That moves it up to Red. Wait, didn't Red pick? Oh, Green is the one who gave up the Guptas. They did not want the Guptas. But I was looking at Red's position for it. That's what went wrong. I don't know why. Okay. Red gets the Arabs. The Arabs go relatively late. They show up in the Arabian Peninsula with a capital. This is still worth a lot. It's not really what I want. I've seen middling things going to other people. I don't really want the Arabs. I'm going to give the Arabs to green. Green's not doing well. The Arabs are a powerful group. That moves it up to yellow. Yellow does not have anything. They get the Byzantines. This is not a bad choice. It goes relatively early. It has a capital. It's in an area I'm not. I'm taking it. That puts it to blue. Blue gets a choice. This is not good. They get the Tang Dynasty. Now, I know what the next card is. Blue also knows that the Khmer has not ended up in anybody's hand because it would have been given to them unless it was given here as a first shot to purple. Possible, but then it probably means there's something shitty. The Tang are not that bad. They show up here, and I could gain a lot of value off of them. And that means purple gets to look at this and give the Khmer to the poor red player. That's going to be a death blow for red. Red should have taken whatever they got. I don't remember what they drew. Was it the Byzantines? They got something. No, it was the Arabs. They got something pretty good and handed it off with the hope that the Khmer would end up in blue's hands. But, you know, only one more player got a chance to draw for that. In the game you get, the worse engineering becomes. So I'm going to play that, grab a couple of forts. That's going to be my only card play. I get this in Eastern Deccan with a dude, and I get a boat in the Bay of Bengal. I know the Khmer are coming in. Bay of Bengal does not reach the East Indies. It's kind of an icky situation. I don't want to blast through these, but I don't want to do a straight crossing. You know what I can do? Let's do one of those, not both. Let's see what we can wipe out. We're going to try to take as much of India as we can with the Guptas. We're in an ugly position. We have one piece left in our forts. We go in here at bad odds, get absolute dominance, or travel to the East Indies. I'm going to take the chance at wiping out blue here. Even a tie is good enough. But I get a victory. Now, this is not part of this empire, so I didn't get a doinker. Or I didn't get a double doinker. I get a fort for my capital. I get another fort, which I can put somewhere. I'm going to put it here in Sumatra and try to just hold that till the end of the game. I don't think anything shows up there, but I'm not sure. The minor kingdoms are harder to remember. And now I get my pointses, which are nothing up here. Oh, wait, there's some. That's 3, 4, 5. I am not in here. 5. 9 more for this brings me... Oh, I didn't need to go here. Fuck. God damn it. That brings me to 14. I screwed up. 15, 16. Okay, now points. 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25 points. I've got good presence everywhere. That's going to bring me to 89, which is pretty damn sweet. The Guptas may not have been a good choice to give the guy who's in the lead, it turns out. Normally, here are my Goths. Normally the Goths would be a really good choice for the mountain troops. But you know what? I own all of this. They are not such a great choice for the mountain troops for me. I also have this weird thing of a boat in the Western Med. Now, I start over here in Danubia. This is kind of a pain in the ass. We're not going to take the mountain troops. Where did I put my cards? Fuck. It's this set. Okay. Let me look to see, because I was going to play the Anglo-Saxons. I probably still will. But the Anglo-Saxons, and they have a navigation in the North Sea, by the way. But start in the Baltic. Which is what, here? No. The Baltic's over here. They're kind of a weird thing. Me coming out of Danube, I'm probably going to invade there. I wish I had forest troops. Instead I have fucking mountain troops. I don't want to use a better card with them, I guess. The North American migrants, let me... Who were the South Americans? Where's the Australians? South Americans should be dark green. I don't seem to have... I didn't keep them where they're supposed to be. Let me find them. For the Mayans, and they're here. That's fine. So I put a couple of North Americans. They've got to be in two separate places. That's what I wanted to look up was, wait a minute, do I have to be in two separate places? Not with the minor empires. So we ended up taking the little monument up there. It means a monument I'm not going to get, but that's okay. And now I start with my Goths. Goths. And I thought I pulled them out, but apparently not. Oh yeah, there they are, they're numbers. Great. This is just not pleasant. I want to swing through and take this, and then try a naval attack, but none of that is good. We went and conquered, through Europe. We made it down to here. We could take this boat. By the way, I had a reallocation, but I don't want to get one coin off of a greater event, which is what pisses me off so much about it. I mean, miners give 2 or 3 coins, depending. I could make an attack here. That's worth a couple of points, but you know what? I'm going to go for the safer attack here. And succeed. Probably wouldn't have succeeded against 3 dice. Not with a roll of 4. And that gets me the capability to build a monument. I only have one place I can build it. And it's, oh, I just found a dude in the wrong pile. He was first. That actually shows up out here. And let's see about my score. Nothing up here. 6 points here. 12. That's it. 12, okay. 13, 14, 15, 16, 17. We're going to be up there, falling pretty far behind, to be honest. And there are the Goths in that pile. I think I can do at least one more. The Kingdom of Tiahuanaco down here. It's a point. Might be worth more later. And again, you would only get one of these kingdoms. So, and then I get my Huns, and they start off in the Western Steppes. I could give them some military capability. They're a fairly powerful amount of forces. Epic 5 has the big old Mongols, though. Epic 6 has, I guess, the Ottomans. And Epic 7 has some really big stuff that can hit all kind of interesting places. So it's kind of a, gosh, do I really want the Mongols to be, do I want to waste one of my big cards on them? I'm not going to beat the lead no matter how well I do here. So it doesn't really help me all that much. I think I'll just go with this. Right now, my points, normally you start within one space of something that can get you points. There is nothing near him. I got to kind of decide what I'm going to do. North Europe, not that interesting, but as compared to, say, this, or as compared to China and India. So I'm a little bit more tempted to go east than west, even though the long-term value in Europe is nice. Screw it, let's play a leader. I have 2 leaders, so I might as well. And that gets me a 3rd die. And we're going to go for the China-India type gains. Gotten dominance here. I have these 3, but I also have this one, so that works out. I have whatever here, it doesn't matter. I've gotten dominance here in China, again, the 2nd level of thing. I've got a presence in India. I didn't want to go deeper into India because there's just so much purple in there, I can't win it. I chose to go this way because this is where the next empire starts out. I would have a nice shot against that. I have various options. I could fortify in Zagros. I'm kind of behind, so people aren't really hunting me, but that's a place where people walk through. Might be worth it. I actually have Boinkerage. I just got this and that, so I will be getting a monument. I have 1 piece left. I could attack this. That's not worth a hell of a lot of points to me. It's worth 1 point if I win, and it's hard to take. You could make the same argument that I go for this. I think fortifying Zagros is my better move. Even though I don't like to fortify when I'm behind like this. And then I get this thing, and I think the only place I'm allowed to put it is here, creating value in my territories that I don't necessarily want. Nothing here. I will have to remember that I exist there, though, that I have the city there. 3, 9, 10, 11, 12, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22. I think 23 points. Again, people are getting left behind by the leaders. And if I recall correctly with what Blue got, this is not going to be a good situation. I don't remember. I think they got the Tang. Which is not yet the next thing. The Byzantines are next. I don't know, I can keep going. The feeling of duty, this kind of, I gotta get through this damn thing. Some of it, though, is that comfort game thing coming through. Now, I lowered my rating. I had a 6 for this. I think that would apply more to the earlier Avalon Hill edition that I'm familiar with. Maybe the edition before that, maybe the edition after that. It got reprinted in like 2018. Apparently it was a rarity or something at one point or another. Like, maybe not a rarity, but a game people would pay money for. I'm assuming it's not anymore. I think this edition is a point worse than what I was used to. Mainly because of the plastic shit on the board. The difficulty of coping with it and everything. Sure, I could make things easier. And then my gripe about those fucking crappy events that are greater events, that really pisses me off. They're a horrible, horrible idea. They are not greater events, they're shitty. Yes, there are a couple of nations that you get a lot more coins than you do for anything else. If you give away what that nation is about, which is like jumping around and getting a piece everywhere in the world. Okay, so now we're on to the Byzantines. I got to hunt them down. Wording in this that reminds me of what I said earlier about the older one. Resolve this card before placing your first army. Now, do we have the strategy cards? Playing event cards. You may play 2 before starting your turn. I don't think that was the case before. I think you could play a card like a treachery or something when you got to it. You didn't have to pre-plan your entire turn before. I liked that better too. The fact that this maintains that text leads me to think that that was the case. Maybe it's not. But under these rules, you play all your cards before starting your turn. Of this card before placing your first army. Again, why say that when that's the base of the rules? I don't know. Do all the cards say that? They do not. Whereas kingdoms and minor empires, you really do have to play before. I think that was specified in the original. So I'm playing the civil servants. That gets me 3 coins with the Byzantines. This would have been an interesting choice for the reallocation, especially if I could play the civil service first and then play the reallocation and get 3 more coins, because I have navies in the Black Sea, East, and West Med. And yes, I can definitely use some of those. I probably don't need all of them. Probably don't want all of them, but unfortunately, I didn't get that card, or fortunately, because that means I got better cards. I am going to play the famine first, though. And I'm going to use this to soften up my region. Now, all armies and lands in an entire area have to roll. I am going to choose Southern Europe, I think. You could make an argument that I'd want it to be, see, I come in the Balkans, that I'd want it to be one of the areas that I'd have to make a naval invasion in. So if I did it in here, but I have a piece there already, or down here, there might be an argument for that. I don't know that there is. I think Southern Europe's the more interesting, because that's going to clear out stuff so I can just walk into it easily. No, not. I got 1 success. And we made an expansion. So this is where the Britannia type games I feel are better. Like, the Romans would turn into the Byzantines in those games, not, oh, look, you know, you have to fight your way through. You could make arguments, that, like, yeah, there were civil wars and all that. But the idea of transformation is something that I kind of like in the Britannia games. So, anyhow, we made kind of a messy thing, but we managed to take out Crete, which has been kind of a point bastion for this guy. and it's been pissing me off. We managed to make a landing here. We had one last piece going into there, and it didn't work. So now we look for our points. And down here we get dominance at 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. But now we got some interesting stuff. 11, 12, 13, 14, 15 up here. Let's look our way down. 15, 16, 17, 18, 19. I mean, it's okay, but it's not going to do it. Still puts us with what I think is going to be the pack. Blue is going to run away up with purple. Yeah, we're towards the top of that pack, but yeah. That's going to make the next one. After the Byzantines, which is the Tang, and that's going to be over here on blue. And blue still has some presence, not much. They've been knocked out everywhere except here in the Middle East. The Tang is going to work well in conjunction with that, but we're not going to get the kind of points that purple has. And purple is going to continue running away with it, which means everybody's got to do what this guy did. You know, take a little bit of pain to take something. I did not need this space. I already had my dominance there. And actually, I probably shouldn't have hit red here and should have just gone for this, but I had already rolled dice, and it's too bad, man. All right, we're going to break for a bit there. Take more time away. It's now about 3 in the morning on Monday. When they wake up, I am going to try to go shopping, so that may actually interfere with things. But anyhow, right now, we got the Tang. Got the Jewish Revolt in my hand, but I don't need it because of what I got there. We're starting here. There is a C play there. I am going to play forest troops because there's a forest here that I might attack. This is the problem. This is why I don't like having to play beforehand, because I may not want to attack across the forest. I don't know. I can't make my mind up at this point. Like, a lot of it depends. Hitting purple through the forests probably makes sense though, so I'm going to go with it. But having to make that decision ahead of time is kind of painful. And I don't think that you used to have to. I think you could hold cards and play them as needed. We're grabbing dominance and not control of China. I move into the Mekong Delta, but that was an expensive attack. It was through forests, so my forest thing gave me bonuses, but I lost a couple of troops to it. I kind of want to take purple out, is really what it comes down to. So I'm going to go into here and then into India. Nowhere near the amount of damage I would have liked to have done with the Tang, but 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I lost 4 pieces. Let's look at my points. Here, I think I still dominate. No, not quite. There's more greens than me. Never mind. 3, 4, 5, 6, 10. I get to dominance there. Oh shit, I didn't take him out there. 10, 13. I'm going to make these kind of mistakes regularly. It's just harder to see stuff on this map with these pieces. So what did I say, 10? And I didn't get any blinkerage. 11, 12, 13, 14, which is not very good at all. That's going to put me up to here, nowhere near where purple is. And purple still has a fairly big holding going into next turn so far. Whew. That puts us on the Arabs, who I think are up here. I'm going to play a disaster because I'm at sort of the limit of my cards, but I also have a weaponry that I'm going to play. Coming out of here, I have the Red Sea, which makes perfect sense. I'm going to blow this up and this. And we'll see what I can advance into. Coming out of the Arabian Peninsula, nothing, just the weaponry, which is a +1 to my combat rolls. I have dominance in over here in Africa. I have dominance here. I've intruded here, killed off a bunch of purple pieces, which was really one of my goals. Useless fleet, basically. Yes, I shipped in and attacked here, but I ended up attacking here anyway. I don't have enough pieces to get control of this. With 3 pieces, I could perhaps get dominance down here. It would take a success in the woods. I'm going to try this first. Okay, that is successful. Now, if I don't take the woods, I'm not going to get that dominance. I do have 2 pieces. I could go for absolute control here, and that would be advantageous, but I would rather succeed here. Now this gives them 2 dice, but I'm at +1. I get him out of there. Now I only need 1 more success. And question is, do I want a doinker? I'm able to build 2 monuments as it stands. I'm not going to get a 3rd monument out of this. But the question here is, do I want to attack this and knock that piece out, which gets me some ground, or do I want to attack a purple piece? What is the next India? The next India is in Eastern Ghats, which is this space, so I don't want to attack that. A success here or here would do me just as good. I'm going to go here. The Khmer can conceivably attack. I'm not crossing the mountains. I'm coming up this way. And I get a success with my bonus. So now I get to assess my value. No points over here. No points up here yet. Those are going to increase very shortly though. Over here is worth 4, 10, 16. And I still have a possession here, so 19. And now 20, 21, 22, 23. Hold on, I got my 2 monuments. 23, 24. I put 1 here. I guess I go in the Levant. 25, 26, 27 points, which is a pretty healthy amount. 28, 29, getting better. And that puts me back up with the pack. Now, red is way behind. They haven't gone yet. It's not going to help them much with the Khmer, but in addition to the Khmer, I'm considering playing a civil war. I could use the civil war against purple and hit these 3 locations. I think forts still count against the civil war. Terrain does not, but that would give me, shots at some interesting things. These would not be the same empire, but that's okay. It just means I don't get the boinkerage. Another option I can't get dominance here. I could get dominance down here, or even full control if I go for all of that. That might be of value. Probably not going to get any better than dominance. This is South China Sea. So I place in Mekong, I go here. That just gets me to the dominance right there. I think I could actually do a power play. No, see, here's the problem. I have to go through this space too. And then maybe I don't go here. I fight in the woods there. I don't know. Let's play the Civil War, though. And send an epic that isn't going to be a problem. I'm going to go after this empire, I guess. So I think it'll help me. Oh, that Civil War failed entirely. 3 misses. And now I start in the Mekong Delta with a piece and a boat down here in the South China Sea. Also a failure. I end up getting dominance here. I ended up wiping out the last blue piece in the Ganges Delta, but not being able to expand into it. I don't feel like I either, I don't know, I was so focused on trying to kill purple is really what it comes down to. All right, let's look at red. I just exist here. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 12, 13, 14. Fort's very helpful. 15, 16. I guess that's it. And I end up with relatively shitty points out of that. That is the end of this period. The bonus once again goes to purple. That's their second. Again, I wasn't going to beat that out. And we have the next deck. I guess I'll go through the allocation. I like doing that rather than starting a new turn all over. I kind of know more of what's going on. And it's pretty easy to play a country once it's been assigned. Points are revealed in Era 5. We've got North South America up here in Japan. I think that's it. Nothing's going down yet. And our lowest value is our weird little Goths here who draw Vikings. Vikings are very early. Actually have a decent amount of points up there, which doesn't seem all that valuable. Now these have an ocean connection, which means I'm actually able to connect to the North Sea. I could get into North America. It goes after the Franks, so it's not as appealing to me point-wise here as those would be. It's not as big a group. And other powers are better. So who do I not mind giving points, giving an early go to? So if I give this to purple, purple would be able to score their goodies down here. I don't really like that. Is there anything worse? I mean, things like the Chola and the Sung are a little worse for them. Blue, I feel blue has a lot of territory. I don't really like giving it to them. Problem is, of course, other than the Franks, I'm going to lose points over here, but other things are better for me. I'm going to give this to yellow. Which, you know, the yellow player and everybody else is kind of like, okay, what did you give him? Probably a moderately good thing? I don't know. You know? The second player is red. We're going to use a die to indicate stuff. Red is doing pretty crappy. They get the Franks. Now, red actually has positions throughout the board. How do the Franks feel? Again, they're an early go. They're not going to hurt me, and they're not in an optimal location. I think I'm better off with things like the Sung or Chola, or Seljuks or Mongols. Definitely the Mongols. So I'm not really thrilled with this. Yellow just got one. We already talked about purple and blue towards going early. So I look at this grayish green. Don't really mind giving them the Franks. So we'll give it to them. That puts it to regular green. Doesn't get that. Who gets the Chola? Now, the Chola go relatively late. This guy has a huge presence. He would like the Franks and the Vikings or the Holy Roman Empire. All of those are fine for him. He doesn't know what's been handed out. He could try to puzzle it out. But he doesn't particularly want the Chola either. Now, what's interesting about the Chola is purple's already in there. It's a kind of shitty group. I think I'm going to hand that off to purple. That puts it to these guys. They have a card, and they draw the Mighty Mongols. Well, the Mongols are as good as it gets in this period in terms of size. They start off in Mongolia here. I mean, I'll give it to the last place guy because it doesn't really hurt. That pushes it to yellow. Yellow has a card. They get the Seljuk Turks. They're late, powerful. They're pretty decent. I'm going to give them to red. That means blue gets their own pick if they want it. It's the Sung Dynasty. The Sung Dynasty goes relatively late. I have something in that area. Am I going to survive? I don't know. I know what I'm going to get, but I've got to pretend that I don't. Nobody's been taking their own card, but two weak players have been given a card. I'm going to... How would I feel about the top three things? Well, the Mongols and Seljuks are the top couple, so I got to assume those probably have gone. I don't particularly want the Franks. Where did the Sung start? The Sung start in Sichuan. That doesn't look easy for me to operate out of. I'm going to give this over here, I guess, which means our last player, purple, draws this and says, okay, you get the Holy Rolling Empire, which honestly blue would rather have than the Sung. I wanted to make the decision on rational. I would make it on a die roll otherwise, but the Sung just don't do it for them. The Holy Rolling Empire does. And then who got the fucking Franks? These guys did. So I'm going to give them the dice to let me know they go first. And we will pause again. The great struggle with sleep came upon me. I napped for about an hour or so, got up, ate something, and hopes of going shopping are being reduced again by my usual inability to want to be awake if I have anything I can do. All right, let's move on with the Franks. I had a hell of a time pulling. Granted, there were 2 out here. 9 pieces for the Franks out of this pile. I don't know why it is. It might actually... it's really the darkness. I can try to shift the light and see. But I had to actually pull one off of here because I couldn't find 9. Now again, there's 2 out, so those have to be addressed. I'm gonna play a Crusade because I have 5 cards left. I have to play 1 this turn or I throw it away. I got a reallocation. I don't know, maybe that's worth just saying I'm not going to use. These go on the Eastern Mediterranean Sea space, and then they can expand. As per normal expansion, they get +1 to their die roll. If Palestine is captured, put a fort and a city in the land. The problem, of course, is normal expansion from sea means an invasion. There's 3 of these little kingdom-type cards in one player's hands. What about that? And those wouldn't be limited by the optional rolls for this one. You would only get 1 of those in the original game, I think. Maybe 2. The Crusades might have been something special. Anyway, we have captured, all 3 were successes. We landed in Palestine. We get a fort there. This does limit us a little bit because the Franks have a Western Med fleet, which means this might have been a path that they wanted to take, but we're going to be in Northern Gaul. We appear here, we destroy this, and we get one of these horsemen with bows, very Frankish looking. I mean, they're the Mongols, but by the way, I had mentioned I thought the Mongols might be big. They're only 18. The Brits are only 16, so yeah, the Romans are the biggest. We sweep through much of Northern Europe, getting dominance there. We managed to get dominance here. Did I fuck up? No. I've got 2 Boinker Doinkers, so I get a capital here, or a monument here with my capital, and that's pretty much it. We get to score this shit. 1. Finally. 7. 11. 12, 13. 16. I don't have dominance. Nothing. 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 16. 17, 18, 19. We're just tied. 19. 20 up here. And then 21. 22, 23, 24. It's starting to get hard to count. 24, 25. As the board's getting more and more cluttered. 26, 27. 28. 29. That's what it looks like. I mean, that's a pretty good jump that we got off the Franks. So I can't be too unhappy about it. The next are the Vikings. Something of, you can't really see, but a little bit of the false dawn, but there's a little bit of what looks like the sunrise coming through, which leads me to believe that today the sunrise is going to be really boring. I guess I made up for it. The sunset was beautiful. It's been really nice the last couple of days, which clouds are important to them. Somehow they give it better color, but they can't be solid clouds, and these look a little too solid. All right, so the Vikings are over here. I got to look at their cards. We had to play 2 cards this turn. One is the Kingdom of Mali over here, not producing any points yet, except for the city. And then the other, I'm putting a big bad weaponry greater event +1. I have 3 military events there, which again wouldn't happen. I have Zimbabwe, and I have astronomy. Astronomy would have been an interesting option. But I'm only attached to the North Atlantic Ocean, which connects to the North Sea, and it already contains it. And I'm not able to place astronomy except, and this is the problem, astronomy is kind of useless late in the game, but I'm like, it's very seldom all that impressive. You could get multiple of them and that would really suck. But as it is, I have this which gives me that for free, and that's the problem. The later empires start getting the oceans, which just gives them everything. By the way, when I placed the West Med one, I accidentally think I flipped one of these over. I think it was on that. I only did one, right? And it was not a good thing. I had to reshuffle them. We start in Scandinavia. And, you know, I mean, there's points for us in lots of different places. Is it worth trying to gain? So like here, it's going to cost me 3 pieces minimum to, actually no, I can do it here. Okay. Landing at the Great Lakes, where like, there's this rune stone that seems like it's a hoax, but I don't know. It's like somewhere up there. 1 piece left. I could land up here in the Northern European plains, where Russia's going to show up. That's worth 1, 2. This is worth a lot more. Because of my weaponry, I'm going to go for the dominance there. Plus, I'm behind in score. And I do poorly. Okay, time to score them then. What do we got? 1. I have 4 of these to 3. So 5, 6, 7, 8. 9, 10, 11. 12, no, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18. Looks like 18 big points. Again, we can kind of see where the pack is going to end up. The Holy Roman Emperor, which is going to start here. They call it as Magdeburg. An interesting place to choose. I mean, Reims is the capital. It's just such a complicated thing. And I don't know if Magdeburg's that south. But I got Fujiwara and a Jewish revolt to play. Jewish revolt is valuable to me because none of that shit is blue. Fujiwara, well, I have to decide. At a point each, it's probably worth spreading all throughout and getting dominance, maybe. I don't know. If it weren't for like the wall, if I could get another piece into China, I would have dominance there, which would be worth it. But between the wall and the fortification, this is just worth a point. This is just worth a point. I'll go for just that. And take that boat away now. Very temporary boat. The Jewish revolt, what do we get? 1 army appears in Palestine and attacks an army there with 3 dice without difficult terrain, but it does have to face the fort that's there. Successful, that's a good 3 points, you know, off of very little. Another one of these kind of kingdom-y type cards. And that. And now we spread. I'm getting good color actually. I don't know if you can see it, but it's kind of a pinkish color. It was really, really bright pink on the sunset the last couple of days. It would be like that, but there's just a little too much cloud, a little too much fog, maybe smoke, I don't know. And it's just turning into this kind of mottled pink color. Do they put the leader? Yeah, they put Otto in here as the leader. Now, the Ottonian Empire, as opposed to Charlemagne's, which he's probably the leader. Yeah, he's the leader of the Franks. Although, you know, most of what the Franks had actually was conquered back in like the time of Clovis or whatever. Here we have Otto basically just conquering a lot of the Frankish territory, and actually the Western territory, because terrain decides everything in this game. You know, yeah. There's not really any direction that you want to be in a particular place or whatever, nothing to kind of guide that. So it just becomes kind of chaotic. This gets me enough points to have control or to have dominance here, which is good enough. I move into there, get a presence. I don't have boats, unlike the Franks. Fair enough, although honestly, if the Empire had reached here, they would have been able to have boats. And now I'm looking at, so purple is the person I want to beat up, but I got no way to do that. So I have to kind of figure out what I want to do. Here I already have control, and dominance would be one hell of a hard job. Although I could... Oh, this is blue. No, blue does not have control. Yeah, they want to go in there. And they may want to take 2 spaces in there, simply because it's going to be hard for me to find points in place. Powers used up their coin cards early, because those were cards that kind of help you establish yourself. But now coins would be really useful because there's a lot more clutter in places that I need to attack and whatnot. Last piece, fortifying. The Holy Roman Empire goes out to the Western Steppe. Doesn't worry about it up here. Yeah, whatever. Doesn't go to Italy. There's mountains in the way there. This is easier. Let's score it. I always do the scoring. I don't know why I show that, but 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25. I scan. 25. 26, 27. Got to hold on to that. 28, 29. Sounds pretty decent, to be honest. That puts me to 101. What am I going to use for that? Well, I'll put them in a fort. I think that's what they actually suggest. We're getting something. I think I'm going to go out for a little bit of a break. We're getting a good pink line there. Chola are up next. They're kind of a small power, so I don't want to use like my leader bonus. I have a minor empire that's not available yet. I have a straits and a treachery. You know, potentially useful stuff, but I don't see any of it really being too valuable to me. So I'm going to start out here at Eastern Ghats. I have a boat there. I have nothing else to play with. And, well, it's not a perfect location for me, which is good because I'm running away with the game, actually. Use the straits. Oh, wait, this is already mine. Yeah, I was thinking about landing here and making an attack across the straits, but that doesn't make a lot of sense. Kind of an ugly position. I moved into here, great. That gives me dominance. of this. I could actually go for control. Would mean a heart attack. On the other hand, an attack up this way is kind of painful. I could do a naval invasion into Malaysia and, you know, then move into that to get a couple of points. I have enough pieces, I probably could make it. I can't just jump into here. These are not the same empire. In fact, there are 3 different empires there total. Another option is to move into here. This is still worth a decent amount, and most of the capitals and whatnot have already gone. I don't know, is there something in the Persian Salt Desert? I don't think so. That would get me some ground. I don't know. Ass kicked here in the lower Indus. Not going to be able to take this anymore. If I get lucky, I can get to there. Taking this would be the quickest I can do off one try, and then I can fortify. I think that's what I'm going to do. It's not a good roll. It's 2 to 3. But maybe I get lucky. And that would give me a boinker doinker. I do not, but I sort of do. So I am going to land here. That gets me the boinker doinkerage, which is a temporary point there. And now let's see what we get. We're looking for that pinkish purple color. We got nothing over here. But over here we get 6, 10, and nothing anywhere else. So that's a base of 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. That's it. $15, 104. Once everybody makes it past, if that happens, it won't. I really don't think it will. We would give another, we could get rid of the forts then. That likely keeps me in the lead, and it'll get me a 3rd one of those little discs, which is really making me look powerful. And our next one is the Sung, which I think is over on this side. Play a card. Next 2 turns is 4 cards. One's a reallocation. I could sell my fleet for a coin. But my fleet could be useful getting me here. I don't have a presence there. I'm kind of like, yeah, I want that, don't I? Plague, Black Death can't be played this time. Astronomy allows me to put a fleet somewhere else. I could conceivably put it like in the Sea of Japan, but I don't think I'm going to make it that far. I have 9 pieces, but things are kind of cluttered and painful. I just don't think I'm going to be able to contest Japan easily at this point. Plus, not next time, but in the 7th epic, Japan comes into play. And that's when this area becomes most valuable. So I don't know. Disaster is always interesting. Plague, it's 4 dice looking for a single 1 to destroy an army. So this is written as if there's only 1 army per space. The original, well, the version I was used to did not do that. I could clear out spaces that I have, and this is kind of interesting, except I think whenever you capture a city, this was always a point of contention, I think even in the older version, was if you capture a city, does it reduce? Wow, we're getting some interesting color even now. Like, not that pinkish, but some nice striations. One thing I gotta say is the sunset looked, or the sunrise looked prettier looking back into the house to the reflection in my window than it did on the sky itself. I ran up to the park, thought there might be some food. There was a birthday party or something when I went for the sunset. And, I don't know, for the disaster and the plague. The disaster down here, just weaken this shit. I'm not there. It's not my problem. And I got another one I can weaken over here. Blue is doing well. Let's knock them out and get rid of them as well. There goes the disaster. The plague, though, I want to use to clear spaces. I don't want to do Szechuan. I get that for free. But over here, so I roll 4 dice. I need a 1. I get 1. So I killed this. It stays like that so that when I do capture it, this is the way I play it. It stays like that so when I do capture the space, it flips over. But now, what's next? If the army dies, the plate spreads to an adjacent land of your choice where the army must roll 3 dice. Again, a 1 eliminates any army and any fort. Maybe any armies, but I don't know. And it continues to travel with 3 dice until an army survives or it can spread no further. There's a reason not to go here. So let's go up to the Yellow River. Oh well. I mean, it is only a lesser event. And now I get a capital over here in Szechuan and a boat here. And again, I want to go to the East Indies, I think. Does mean that I have to deal with this forest. I've dominated China. So instead of solidifying China and getting that 3 extra points, I'm thinking about other things. Because purple is a problem. Purple and blue are the problem. And an attack here is across the strait. It's not an easy attack. Then an attack here. Then I could slither into here and gain dominance in India as well, or yeah, dominance in India as well. I failed to get the dominance, actually. Made it most of the way, didn't get it. Maybe much worse, on this dirty red carpeting, I dropped one of them red dice, and I can't find it now. Right, after a quick hike downstairs to get a pipe for this, let's count my points. Got 1 here, 2, 3, 4, just presents. Ooh, maybe. I was at 4, that brings it up to 10, because that is good. 11 for Mongolians up here. Didn't quite get this. 14. Did get this. 18. Did get this, I think. 18. 24. Okay. 25, 26. The map is more crowded than the original. 27. 28. 29. 30, 31, 32, 33, 34. That's not a bad amount. I feel like we're getting closer, but there's still the pile of things that are showing up, which is not a good thing. And there goes the sun. We'll take a look at what each player got in terms of the kingdoms and empires and whatnot at the end, I guess, during the wrap. After the Sung, we hit the Seljuks. There they are. It's a little odd. Again, it's because things are kind of randomized and everything. The Crusade, let's assume it's the first Crusade, because it's coming up, you know, with the Holy Roman Empire and the Franks and everything. But the Seljuks go after these guys. Now that feels really weird. Yes, you could make an argument that, sure, certainly the Franks, but like the Ottonian Empire, you're getting pretty close to the time of the Crusades. The Seljuks are kind of the triggering point to it. And but anyhow, I mean, the point is that it was the Seljuks kind of taking out the Byzantines, and the Byzantines are nowhere near here because they never went into Anatolia and whatnot. You know, I mean, it's just sort of, it's this random stuff that's not linked in any way, and it's not geographically grounded in any sense. So it's like everything kind of feels just like this random mishmash. It feels like a very abstract game where I'm just trying to control territories. Similar to Risk, it, you know, it doesn't feel like it's representing anything real. Play my African migrants, and we'll talk about them in a moment. But I also have a couple of military cards. And the next period, there are only a couple of powers that are as good as the Seljuks. And then in the period following, yes, there's a lot of good powers. I'm thinking that this is the time to play, not my jihad, but my elite troops. Not my stupid fucking reallocation, which is goddamn useless. My Africans, I could have placed them in Madagascar. They can go anywhere that's, I don't know, maybe taking these two doinkers is actually worth it. But the thing is, these spaces are pretty useless, and I'm kind of hoping, I can't build a monument with them. I'm kind of hoping that I can survive and gain some points with them. Strangely, here it says, these armies must occupy vacant lands. Fine. They may not build monuments or attack. Not building monuments makes me think that maybe most of these, the minor empires can, but that most of these like little things actually could build monuments. I think I remember playing that way. It's not easy to do. They're just not big enough, you know, and they don't have navigation or anything. Seljuks don't have a capital. No wonder they show up in Eurasia. I thought they showed up down here. Okay. I don't know what to do. Up by trying to charge across these mountains with my elite troops, and they lost an army in combat, so bye-bye. Gotten our dominance here in India. We have a presence here. I don't know that we can really get much more easily. We have a lot of power in a lot of other places. I feel like we have a couple of directions we want to go in. Possibly Northern Europe, possibly China. Those are the big desirables. China we can try to get into with just one piece. Not the result I wanted. I do have a city, so I can build a monument. So I'm going to go into here. My extra piece, what do I want? Do I want to fortify my city? I don't know that there's anything else I can do that's terribly valuable. So yeah. Fortify a city, and I get a monument for doink doink. And now points. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21. And we come back and look again. 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27. Not so hot. Has yellow gone yet? Yellow has gone as well. So we're not in last. And we have one more empire to do, which is the mighty Mongols. Gonna have to dig a lot of counters out of there. I feel like as good a time for a leader as anything. That leaves me with 4 cards for the next. I could do the elite troops with them too, but that seems a bit much. I would like something valuable for later. Allies, that's actually better with a weaker power. I'm going to have tons of counters to use. Mountains don't really help, and reallocation is a piece of shit. And absolutely useless to them because they have no boats. Well, it's not a mountain. That's the problem here. Yeah, I could get mountains going into here. Things that bugs me about the game is the disincentive to take over a whole region. So something like China tended to be taken over. Like attempting to get that full control level was a tendency. But the game really kind of disincentivizes that. It's generally better to, in most areas, to go for the dominance. And that's just beat up other people and be the biggest thing there. Now you could maybe argue that that's some kind of overlord, you know, high king type situation as opposed to whatever. Troops would have been a lot more appealing than mountain. Mountain, really, this was the only thing. And yeah, that would have been maybe nice, but then there's forests in all directions coming out of it. So I've more or less achieved my goals. I have 7 pieces left, and the question is, what do I do with them? Do I push to get more of India, to get it up to dominance? That would be an easy task, to tell you the truth. Do I slice across and go to Europe, which is less worthwhile? Of course not. I mean, hunting blue pieces might be worth something, but right now it feels like the pack is sort of closing in a little bit. I'm not. I need points. It's not my job to knock other people down particularly. I mean, where I can, sure, whatever. To my last couple, I've got a Doinkerage. I got double Doinkerage. So that's not, you know, that's a point that I have, but that's not really a key. I have places I can build it. I could take the I could take that. Here, under the current rules, most armies I'd have to worry, I'd have to take out a green piece, but I'm doing it by areas, which is what I remember it being. I think my best situation, can I get here? I could get to 3. That would do. So, and this is worth an extra point, and I don't have to cross the mountains. Sure. We'll attack into the green stuff. Lost my piece, and now if I had done those allies or whatever, I could use a coin to occupy that. I still can occupy that, but I only have 1 piece. That's not going to give me the dominance. I need to hit something else, and I don't know that there's anywhere else that I can get a point. I mean, I could attack a city or something. This one's fortified. It's fortified with a couple of pieces. That's ugly. We don't connect to Korea here. I think, I mean, this is a victory point. I need victory points. We'll just get that. That gives me a little bit more stability in the area, I guess. I got to swap batteries. I'll count and then I'll load this up. 2 points. 3, 4, 5. 6, 7. 8, 9, 10. 11. 17. 21. 27. 28. 29. Got a couple little monuments. 30. 31. Oh, I forgot to build my monument. 31. 32. 33. And 34 for my monument, which I could place lots of places. This is kind of out of the way. I said 34. Puts me up to 90. Back in the center of the pack. How about that? That's sweet. I mean, we made up a lot of ground. Yes, there's still a great deal of distance, but I feel a lot better. But another disc over here to purple. You know, as I've played it more, I think I said this earlier in the video, some of it felt like duty coming up here, but I'm also getting more into the swing of it and beginning to feel that comfort game aspect of it, even if it's, you know, hurting my back and everything, and I'm going into way too much detail. It's just there's no real narrative to this. It is an abstract game. It's like an abstract area control game that, you know, I mean, I can say, oh, look, the Mongols swept through China, didn't conquer it really, swept into Southeast Asia, sure, okay, that was kind of a conquest, swept through India and into, you know, Persia, and whoopee, you know, it doesn't feel like the Mongol conquests at all. In fact, very little in this really does feel like it's very hard to get the big empires to do what they did historically. Now you could argue, hey, you know, I had Genghis Khan, but you need more than that. If you look at the actual conquest, you're talking China. I would say the steppes for the most part, although, you know, they're pretty much empty, so I'm okay leaving a lot of that empty, especially up in the north. Sweeping down into here, no question, making it almost, you know, into the Middle East a little bit, and then into Europe itself almost. But point-wise, it's just not worth it, which is why the Britannia system kind of works better, is it directs the people where they're supposed to go, kind of, you know? And even much as even invasions over there, much as that was really a disappointment, like a way too painful Britannia, it still managed to give people goals that were within their desires, you know? It directed your empires to where they wanted to go, as opposed to this just, yeah, you have goals, but they don't match, they will never match the historical goals. That's the real problem. They will almost never match it. There is a desire to knock people out of areas, but your own points are more important. Now, maybe there's some way to modify the point scores or something. Maybe make absolute control more valuable. Like, instead of 3 times, make it 4 times. That would direct things more towards, like, solidification of India or China. But do you really get, like, the Romans wanting to control the Med, which is just not really represented on here? I don't know. Anyway, let me load this up and we'll try to give you the story so far. The story so far is people have been chasing the point track. They're collecting victory points to try to win.